One of the things, good percentage of first serves, I know, with my match today, and yeah, a lot of focus.
48 hours before she was scheduled to face the world's #1 doubles player on the red clay of the Caja Mágica, Alexandra Eala was standing on a red carpet in Madrid, wearing a dress that had been designed in Manila, finished in 2 days, and shipped across the world by her uncle, the same clay, the same city, the same opponent who, the last time these two met, won the second set in approximately 24 minutes. Two verified facts sit side by side and refuse to make sense together. A 20-year-old who captioned her glorious red carpet photos, endlessly thankful to be part of such a special night, collecting 48,000 likes in under 48 hours, is now preparing to face the woman who once handed her a 6-0 bagel on a tennis court.
It's getting better every year. I'm a better player this year now.
What happened when the red carpet met the red clay is what this is really about. The dress Eala wore to the 2026 Laureus World Sports Awards at Palacio de Cibeles was a Filipiniana, the formal traditional garment of the Philippines. Her uncle, fashion designer Rhett Ayala, conceptualized and shipped it in roughly 48 hours.
But yeah, I'm really trying to be less shy and...
She wore it into a room that contained Novak Djokovic, Aryna Sabalenka, Simone Biles, Eileen Gu, and Nadia Comaneci. "I felt like a princess," she said afterward. Nadia Comaneci, her lifetime award speech, "I was so touched." 20 hours later, she was on a clay court at the Caja Mágica, beating qualifier Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova 6-3, 6-3, and addressing the Madrid crowd in Spanish. The bridge between those two moments is not a coincidence. It is a portrait of the kind of player Alexandra Eala has become. And it leads directly to the match scheduled for April 24th. To understand what Eala is walking into, you need to understand who Elise Mertens actually is right now, because the ranking gap of number 44 versus number 21 doesn't begin to tell the story. Mertens won the 2026 Australian Open doubles title in January with Zhang Shuai. She is the current world #1 in doubles. She has 6 Grand Slam doubles titles and a career-high singles ranking of number 12. She arrived in Madrid as the 19th seed with a first-round bye, a 12-7 singles record in 2026, and a clay court career record of 69 wins and 41 losses, a 62.7% win rate built on placement, returns, and a return game that punishes any hesitation in the service box. She is not a player in decline. She is a player at a very specific, dangerous kind of peak. And the history between these two is not neutral. On October 17, 2023, at the Madrid Open in Monaster, Mertens beat Eala 7-5, 6-0. Eala won just 9 of 32 second-serve points. The second set lasted approximately 24 minutes. Eala was ranked around number 200 at the time, and the scoreline reflected every one of those 200 spots. It is worth acknowledging briefly that Mertens' Stuttgart week was not flawless. She built a 6-1, 2-0 lead over 7th seed Karolina Muchova, only to watch Muchova win 12 of the next 13 games and take the match. Mertens has a vulnerability when the pressure shifts, but she also demonstrated in that same Stuttgart match that she can dominate a top 10 player in the opening phase, and that is precisely the kind of opening Eala cannot afford to give her. Because the 2023 H2H did not just end 7-5, 6-0. In the first set, Eala actually competed. She saved match points in the 12th game before Mertens broke through. Then the second set happened. The question ahead of April 24th is whether the player who saved those match points in 2023 has become someone who never loses the second set at all. Start with what happened on April 22nd, because it matters more than the scoreline suggests. Eala beat Pavlyuchenkova 6-3, 6-3, and the number that defines that win is 76. 76% of first serve points won. She saved 5 of 6 break points. She broke serve twice in each set. That 76% figure is the direct, documented answer to the question that Greg Rusetsky, Andrea Petkovic, and Martina Navratilova have all separately identified as Eala's primary development challenge, the serve. In their only previous meeting, Eala won 52% of first serve points against Mertens, who is among the most clinical returners currently operating on the WTA Tour. The serve was the weapon then. The serve was the weapon on April 22nd, too. The difference is what that weapon now looks like. That transformation did not happen in a vacuum. In the weeks before the 2026 season began, Eala hit with Rafael Nadal at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, a session she described in terms that left no ambiguity about its physical and psychological intensity. "I was really tired after the practice," she said. "Rafa's intensity never goes away, and that's one of the things that everyone looks up to him for, his work ethic and intensity. So to be able to feel that firsthand was really great." And when asked specifically about clay, Nadal's surface, the surface Eala is now trying to conquer, she was direct. "Anything I can take from Rafa, I'll take with pride. She will play on clay in Madrid. She will carry that practice session with her. Now place yourself on April 21st inside the Palacio de Cibeles in Madrid. The room contains the greatest athletes alive. Eala is 20 years old. She is wearing a dress her uncle conceived and shipped in 48 hours from Manila. She is standing in the same physical space as Djokovic, Sabalenka, Biles, and the woman who invented the perfect 10 in gymnastics. And she is not out of place. She is photographed. She is quoted. She is invited. The Laureus Committee does not extend invitations to players who don't belong in the room. The Instagram post she published that night, a photograph in the Filipiniana, one quiet caption, drew 48,000 likes and 589 comments before 48 hours had passed. GMA News tracked the dress story. ABS-CBN posted the clip of her celebrating with the Madrid crowd after her Pavlyuchenkova win. 6 major Philippine media outlets published dedicated coverage within 24 hours of her first-round result. The Tennis Channel's social team asked the question they rarely need to ask. Do you remember a women's star who gets this kind of support wherever she goes? Those who were watching Alexandra Eala long before the mainstream arrived, who tracked her through the OVA curse, who celebrated when she snapped an 8-match losing streak against opponents with surnames ending in Ova by beating Pavlyuchenkova on April 22nd, exactly 1 year after her last Ova win over Tomova. Those people understood something that the rankings still don't fully reflect. Eala's Race to Turin position in 2026 sits approximately at number 15 globally. Her WTA singles ranking sits at number 44. That gap between where the ranking places her and where her actual 2026 results place her is the real measure of what she's doing this season. And the people who saw that first were right. Consider finally what Eala has accomplished against the level of competition Mertens currently represents. Since that 6-0 bagel in Monastir, she has beaten Madison Keys when Keys was ranked number 5. She beat Iga Swiatek twice in the same tournament in Miami 2025, ranked number 2 at the time. She beat Coco Gauff at number 4 and Jasmine Paolini at number 8. She has 4 career victories over top 10 players. The player Mertens demolished in 24 minutes in 2023 has since collected more top 10 wins than most players achieve in a career. ESPN put it precisely in March 2026. Opponents have had a full year of film to study her patterns. The wide lefty serve on big points, the backhand down the line in transition, the willingness to absorb pace before flipping defense into offense. They have the film. She keeps winning anyway. There is one voice that carries particular weight in this specific conversation, not a commentator's voice, not an analyst's, but the voice of a player who faced Eala in this exact city, at this exact tournament, on this exact surface, and needed 3 sets to walk off the court. Iga Swiatek, at the time of their Madrid 2025 match, the reigning world number 2 and defending Madrid champion, a player who has won Roland Garros 4 times. After that match, a match in which Eala took the first set 6-4 before Swiatek recovered 4-6, 6-4, 6-2, Swiatek said this, "I understand that there's hype about these young players, but you have got to be focused on yourself. Parse that carefully." Swiatek did not say Eala was lucky. She did not say the first set was an anomaly. She chose specifically the word hype, and then immediately qualified it by acknowledging she had to stay focused on herself. A player who required 3 sets against someone they considered purely a product of hype does not typically issue that qualifier. Swiatek was, in the precise clinical language of a champion, admitting that Eala's threat was real enough to require mental management. That admission came on Madrid clay, in the same tournament Eala is playing now, against the same red clay where she is scheduled to face Elise Mertens, who, unlike Swiatek, has never had to manage a 3-set match against this version of Alexandra Eala. Here is what this match is mathematically. At Madrid 2025, Eala reached the second round, beating Tomova, then losing to Swiatek 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. That run earned her approximately 35 ranking points. Those 35 points are the ones dropping off her total right now in real time as this video plays. A second-round exit in 2026 earns 30 points, a net loss of 5 before the French Open clay swing has even reached Rome. A round of 32 finish, which requires beating Mertens, earns 50 points, a net gain of 15. Eala currently sits at number 44. She reached her career high of number 29 on March 16, 2026. To be seeded at Roland Garros, she needs to reach approximately number 32. The path from 44 to 32 runs directly through Elise Mertens on April 24th. This is the architecture behind the red carpet and the clay. Eala has already signed up for the Rome Open from May 5th through the 17th and the Parma Ladies Open on clay in May. A structured, deliberate clay campaign that tells you exactly what the coaching team around Joan Bosch and Clay Season Edition, Sandro Viaiani, is planning. Madrid is not an isolated event. It is the opening chapter of a French Open seeding campaign. Beat Mertens, and the chapter opens with momentum. Lose Mertens, and Eala arrives in Rome already behind the mathematical pace she needs. Every Filipino watching from Madrid, from Manila, from every city in the world where the diaspora tracked that red carpet moment and watched the video of her addressing the crowd in Spanish after beating Pavlyuchenkova, they are watching a player fight not just for a win, but for a structural foothold on the surface that will define whether 2026 is the year she becomes a genuine clay court threat. Her commercial value, her cultural footprint, and her Roland Garros seeding all converge on one match. That is what the dress from Manila and the clay of Madrid have in common. They are both, in their own language, statements about belonging. It would be dishonest not to say this plainly. Alexandra Eala's clay court record in 2026 is 2-2, and one of those 2 losses was severe enough to raise genuine questions. On April 14th, 8 days before her Pavlyuchenkova win, Eala faced Leylah Fernandez in Stuttgart. She fell behind 0-5 in the first set. She won just 42% of total points across the match. The final scoreline was 1-6, 4-6, and it was not as close as that 4-6 second set suggests. It was Eala's first match against a fellow left-hander on clay, and the tactical challenge it posed exposed real unresolved elements in her clay game. 8 days is not a long time to rebuild from a match like that. The Pavlyuchenkova win in Madrid's first round was encouraging. The serve percentages were encouraging, the breakpoint conversion was encouraging, but Pavlyuchenkova is not Mertens. Mertens' return game is specifically calibrated to exploit exactly the kind of second serve vulnerability that produced 9 of 32 second serve points won in their last meeting. Eala has not yet beaten a top 25 player on clay in 2026. Mertens at number 21 would be the first. "I've had some struggles on clay before," Eala said after the Pavlyuchenkova win, with a directness that her coaching team probably appreciated. "But I've also had some really great matches. There are still a couple of tournaments left. So I'm really excited. Like, that is not a player performing confidence for the cameras. That is a player who is trained under the intensity of Rafael Nadal on this very surface and is choosing deliberately to walk toward the difficulty rather than around it. One drop of water can create waves, she has said. I'm just trying to do my best, fight until the end. The question of whether the valley is behind her or still ahead of her, that is what April 24th is for. Pull back and look at the full picture now. A 20-year-old who was getting bageled in 24 minutes when she was ranked 200th, who won just 9 of 32 second-serve points in Monastir in 2023, arrived in Madrid in April 2026, having hit practice sessions with Rafael Nadal until she was exhausted, having beaten 4 top 10 players across 2 years, having won 76% of first-serve points against Pavlyuchenkova in a clean display of the exact growth that Rusetsky, Petkovic, and Navratilova said she needed. And she did all of this while wearing her country's formal dress to the most prestigious sports awards ceremony on the continent, in a room with Djokovic, Biles, and Comaneci, and then walking out the next morning and winning a professional tennis match. Swiatek needed 3 sets on this clay to contain her 1 year ago. The ranking mathematics demands she win this match just to avoid losing ground before Roland Garros, and the opponent across the net is the woman who, in their only prior meeting, made the second set disappear in 24 minutes. That is what shocks the world actually means. It is not about the scoreline of any single match. It is about the convergence of everything. A 6-0 bagel on her record, a 1-6 first-set loss in Stuttgart just 8 days before this match, a 15-spot ranking slide in 5 weeks, a clay court record of 2-2, and an opponent who is the current world #1 in doubles, a 6-time Grand Slam champion, and a player who went up 6-1, 2-0 on a top 10 player just days ago. When Alexandra Eala walks onto that Caja Magica clay to face Elise Mertens, she carries something that was not there in Monastir in 2023. 4 wins over top 10 players, a serve rebuilt under Rafa Nadal's roof, a dress designed by her uncle and shipped from Manila in 2 days, and the certain, irreversible knowledge that she belongs in every room she enters, whether it is filled with Djokovic and Simone Biles, or with the opponent who once made her look like she did not belong on a tennis court at all. That is the shock, not the score, the architecture of the person carrying it. Now here's what we don't know yet. Can she solve Mertens' return game before Mertens solves the lefty serve? Can she reach the round of 32 and begin that climb from number 44 toward the Roland Garros seeding threshold? Or does the clay campaign stall here, before Rome, before Parma, before Paris? If she beats Mertens and advances, the draw potentially offers Ekaterina Alexandrova or former world #1 Karolina Pliskova in the round of 32. Drop your prediction in the comments. Can Eala reach the round of 16 in Madrid? The match is April 24th. The result will determine whether the story this video has built is the prologue or the beginning of the main chapter. If you want to be here when that chapter opens, when the verdict comes in from the Caja Magica, this channel is where the full arc lives, not just the headline. Follow along, because what happens next, in Madrid, then Rome, then Roland Garros, is a saga that is only getting richer with every match she plays.